Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 1, Episode 13. We are already done. I mean, we're waiting for the reunion. I have to say, these past 13 weeks flew right on by. For a brand new franchise, I think that their first season was solid. I would give them a solid B minus. There were a few episodes that seemed kind of filler, a little slow, a little boring, but for the most part, I was pretty entertained. I say all that to say, mark this in your calendars. I was wrong, okay? I completely misjudged. I really jumped the gun in regards to a certain cast member that I had claimed in my trailer recap video that she was going to be the fan favorite, the star, that girl, Queen Bee, MVP, and boy oh boy, did she make a fool out of me. Let me just say this right now. I am officially done pre-standing for these ladies of any franchise. I don't care if this is your first season, 5th season, 10th season. I am not going into any of these shows anymore pre-standing, going hard for any of these ladies because they will make a fool out of you every single time. Look at how I was riding for old girl from this past season of Potomac, all because I was believing the reports, and come to find out she was a bold-faced liar. And then I had to switch my stance because I'm always going to side on the right side. Okay? So I said, I am 0 for 2. First her, now this one, who completely showed her behind all season long and really showed her behind in this finale episode as well. So we start off the episode and we see little flashes of the women individually. We see Whitney. She's like doing, I think, yoga or stretching and meditating in her closet. And then we see a flashback of Jen screaming, and then we see Lisa, and then we see Heather, we see Meredith, and then we even see Mary in her kitchen, and you see a flashback of her just being like, yup, you know, Jen's crazy. And you know how Bravo is just so dramatic. They have the really dramatic music playing in the background just to really showcase and highlight the fact that the ladies are still reeling from that god-awful trip. Side note, I was very surprised and a little bit annoyed at how we didn't get to see the conclusion of the trip. I was kind of like, Bravo, you already are giving us a 90-minute finale that kind of dragged on and on and on, in my opinion. The least you guys could have done was just start off the first 4 or 5 minutes with them in Vegas at the hypnotist house. Like, I was kind of annoyed by that because I really did want to see how that all went down, but again, so then we see Heather, and Heather is preparing for her big grand opening of her new beauty lab. So you guys remember, like a few episodes back, Heather let us know that she is relocating to a bigger and better space. She's really excited. She's throwing this big, huge party for it, and we see her contractors putting the finishing touches on everything, and she's kind of like, all right, we got 2 days before this party. Like, where's everything going to be? The step and repeat's going to be there. I need this fixed. I need the lights set up. I need, you know, she just needs everything to come together quickly and nicely. So then we see Whitney rolling up to the beauty lab, and she's like, oh, Heather, are you excited for your party? Like, this is so cool. They're just chit-chatting, and of course, we already know how this goes. Jen gets brought up into the conversation. So Whitney goes on to ask Heather if she's heard from Jen since their Vegas trip. And Heather's like, nope, I haven't heard anything from her. Have you? Whitney's like, nope. And then Whitney goes on to ask Heather, like, is she coming? Did you invite her to your grand opening for Beauty Lab? And Heather is like, well, yeah, because I invited her prior to our Vegas trip, prior to the big argument, and I can't really uninvite her now. Like, it's kind of too late for that. So I don't know if she's coming though, but the invite is still there on the table. So Whitney says in her confessional that she believes Heather is addicted to the toxicity of her and Jen's friendship. I'm not going to say that Heather is addicted to the chaos, but I do think that Heather has some self-esteem issues, and she has some issues setting boundaries with people, and she has some issues really just calling folks out on their BS, because Heather has said time and time again that she's always been the get along to go along type of girl. So the next scene, we see Lisa. Lisa is headed to a restaurant to grab some drinks. And guess who she's having drinks with? Miss Jen, the one she swore she never wanted to be friends with again while they were in Vegas. Lisa gets there first. Jen shows up, and of course, Jen has to come in being extra. And she's all like, I need a drink. I need a drink. I need a vodka or something, but I need a drink. So Lisa says in her confessional that the reason why she wants to hear Jen out and meet up with her is because on their last day of Vegas, she bumped into Jen on the elevator, and Jen was visibly distraught, shaken up, and she was crying really badly. And so she felt so badly for Jen that she just wanted to have compassion and hear her out. And it was kind of like, okay, girl, I guess, but whatever. So Lisa starts off the conversation by just saying, Jen, I was really angry because I had heard that you were talking about me. And Jen is denying it, like, no, I would never talk about you. I would never talk about you, Lisa. And then Jen goes into this long, tearful soliloquy about how she has been through so much in her life and how her childhood has impacted her so much that that's why she goes on to act the way she does, which is screaming, yelling, cursing, and acting like a complete loon. That's her excuse for why she does the things that she does. She then goes on to say that she's always had to fight and she's built up this tough exterior. And my whole thing is like, this whole lack of accountability, this whole let me spin everything so that I can now become the victim, let me do whatever it takes so that I don't have to own up to the awful things that I've said and done. It was just really blowing me. Like, girl, a lot of people have sob stories. A lot of people have really sad things that they've gone through in life, and they're not acting crazy like you are. It's just so aggravating that she uses it as a crutch. Like, I'm tired of hearing about it. If you have all these issues, go to therapy, sit down with somebody and talk it out. But to use all this, oh, my childhood was just so rough and this is why I'm so mean to people, that's not an excuse. And while that is sad that you went through stuff, you're not the only person who's gone through things either. Like, I'm just so sick of it. I really am. That whole victim mentality. If everybody else can put their issues to the side and make it work and put a smile on their face and treat people with common decency, you can too. And if you can't, then it suggests that you might need to get some professional help, period. And then to say that she's been misinterpreted. How have you been misinterpreted? Like, what are you saying? You're cursing at people, screaming in their face. Like, I just don't understand how you can say that your actions have been misinterpreted. Like, I'm just not understanding it. Like, am I missing something? I pride myself on being a pretty rational person. But you're not going to sit up here and tell me that your poor behavior is due to people are just misunderstanding you. Like, that's not how this works. I found it so comical when you had the nerve to fix your lips and say that Heather hurt you deeply. Heather has been a very good friend. And for you to fix your lips to say that Heather has hurt you deeply, I said, this is how I know that you're not playing with a full deck. How dare you? The way you screamed at her face, the way you swatted her hand away, the way you called her everything but a child of God, I said, you know, girl, you really need some help, for real. But let me stop because I feel myself getting worked up, and we have a ways to go with this review, and I have some more things to say because when we got to that grand opening party and you were still pulling it, I said, oh girl, I got to get you together multiple times in this recap. So next scene, we see Miss Meredith. She is at home with her husband, Seth, honey, and they are flirting and just talking, having a good old time. Meredith is happy, Seth's smiling from ear to ear, and the topic of the trip comes up, and Jen and her nonsense come up, and so Meredith is like, she's still really pissed at Jen speculating and spreading things about their marriage and the time when they were separated. And so Seth is like, yes, we were both seeing other people, but our marriage was in a really messed up place, like, we weren't going to make it, okay? But now we're back. And Meredith says all this chatter about their marriage, they need to worry about themselves. And she thinks that it's a deflection from the other ladies because she thinks that a lot of the other ladies' marriages are on the rocks too. And we already know who she's talking about. She's definitely throwing shots at Jen because we know that Jen's marriage is messed up. Sharif ain't never home. I definitely think that it's deflection because when you're unhappy in your situation, you always are trying to project on somebody else's situation and hoping that it's a mess over there. Because you know how the saying goes, misery loves company. But I digress. So we get on to the next scene, and it's Whitney and her dad. She's going to see her dad at cosmetology school, and Whitney is just really excited for her dad. And this was a really touching scene. I thought it was just really sweet to see Whitney was the hair model, and her dad was teaching a class about, you know, how to cut hair. And so he was like doing a little trim on Whitney's hair, and he still got it. Like, he still knew his stuff. I said, like, go Pops. Like, he's doing a good job. So Whitney says in her confessional that she's really happy to see her dad, like, back to himself again, you know, just like doing his thing and just happy and not on drugs. And she's just praying that he doesn't relapse again because it's been a battle for the past 10 years. I am wishing Whitney's father the best. I really hope that he is able to maintain his sobriety and just take it, I guess, one day at a time. But that scene was really cute. He did a really great job, and Whitney was really proud. End of the scene, she was like, I feel like a proud mama. And so they started laughing. But again, all the best to Whitney's dad. I really hope that he is doing well on his recovery journey. So we jump on over to the next scene, and we are back again at the beauty lab with Heather. She's just talking and joking with her employees, and Miss Meredith walks on in, and they go to the back, have some champagne, and they start discussing Miss Jen. Meredith says that Jen must be hurting very badly in her life for her to be acting the way that she does. And I 100% agree, because nobody who's happy, nobody who's sane is carrying on the way she does, period. So Meredith goes on to say that the Vegas trip was just beyond disheartening and upsetting. And then she goes on to ask the $64 million question, and that is Jen coming to your grand opening party? And Heather's like, well, you know, she's not uninvited. Like, I don't know if she's coming, but, you know, I did offer her the invitation beforehand. I didn't revoke access, but if she comes, she comes. I don't know. Heather lets it be known that if her daughters had a friend like Jen, she would tell them, oh, you better cut her off immediately. Like, absolutely not. She also says that she wants respect and she is no longer tolerating disrespect, dysfunction, and she's no longer going along to get along. Those days are over. There's a new Heather in town and she's putting her foot down. I said, Heather, this is the woman that I have been waiting to see all season long. I said, come through, sis. Come through with your backbone. So now we move on to a wacky and bizarre scene. I think that this was for comic relief. It's Mary and she's at her church. She's talking about how she just loves church and it is just such a place of refuge for her and rest. And we see her, she's with her choir and she's letting them know they don't sound good and they need to sing for the Lord. The way she was just barking orders at them to sing better, it was like, girl, well, can you sing? Like, you have a whole lot of this. Can you sing? I didn't know you were a singer. I lost it when they showed that picture of Mary's grandmother with Jesus. I said, and she says that her grandmother would be very proud of her and would just be so proud of how she's running things in the church. And I said, okay, Mary, I'm glad your grandmother would be proud. Let's move on to the next scene. We get on to the next scene, and it is Jen. She's pulling up to this dance studio, and there she finds her husband with 2 dance instructors waiting on her, and she is so excited. Sharif has planned a really fabulous date night for the both of them, and Jen is over the moon. And she even says that she is so happy to see that Sharif is finally putting in some effort into their marriage. And he's putting some effort into being home, like he should be. Don't get me started on him and them and him not being home, because I could just go on and on about that for hours, okay? But we're not going to do that. So they get to dancing, and they're doing some salsa. He's dipping Jen, moving the hips, having a good time. I was like, okay, Sharif has some really good moves. He can dance. I said, that man can move, okay? They're having a good time, laughing and joking. The instructor is all into it. And then we see the instructors leave, and since he rented out the studio, they have it for a few more hours. So we see a nicely decorated table with some, I guess it was wine. No, I think it was like Welch's grape juice, because I noticed the bottle, because I remember that Sharif doesn't drink, or he stopped drinking, but I digress. So they have, that chilling out in a little champagne bucket, and then you see the chocolate-covered strawberries, and they're feeding each other the strawberries and having a nice time. Jen lets it be known that she wants to apologize for her behavior these last few months. And then Jen starts getting teary-eyed about how the other ladies in her friend circle just don't seem to understand her. And she gets really emotional about it, and she's going on and on and on about how she just can't believe that they're treating her like this. And so Sharif says to her that he's not going to let her sit there and say that she's a bad person or beat up on herself. And he just lets her know that she has a beautiful side to her and that she's a good person, that he loves her so much. And it's like, Sharif, I understand that that's your wife and that you should be her biggest cheerleader. However, you also need to check her and let her know that her attitude and her mouth is reckless and that she has said and done a lot of things that were not right, and she needs to pay the piper and apologize. Bottom line, Jen needs to get comfortable with accountability, period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So now we get to the final scene of this finale, and it is Heather's grand opening party for her new Beauty Lab location. And I have to say, her employees, her team did that. Her party looked really good. The step and repeat looked amazing. The inside just looked really, really good. I mean, the decorations were just fabulous. She had a cotton candy machine, and I love cotton candy, so I was like salivating just like watching that. But I digress, okay? So the party's going on, and Heather is just so excited and just so proud of herself. And kudos to Heather. She's really come a long way. And hearing her story and what she's dealt with, it's been really nice just watching her just like blossom. And I really hope that Heather continues to have more success and just more confidence in herself, because she needs it. You know, she deserves to feel good about herself. So we see Heather's girls arrive along with her very unattractive, very weird ex-husband, Billy. Billy has no personality at all. I'm like, Heather, girl, while you are crying about this divorce, you need to rejoice. You need to rejoice that this man walked out of your life, because he is no looker and he is so stiff. Like, he was just looking around, just looking so weird. Like, I was just kind of like, go somewhere, please. Heather was really happy to show Billy around, and she's like, did you ever think that I would be doing this? Did you ever think that, you know, I'd be this successful? And he's like, no. Because remember, she was a stay-at-home mom before, and he kind of just wasn't into her dreams or her life. Like, he just wanted her to be a wife and a mom and just shut up. And so Heather just says that she feels so good to show Billy, like, look, like, I don't even need you. Like, I don't need a man. Like, I did this, you know, all by myself. And so Billy gives her his stamp of approval. He says that he's really proud of her and how he's just really happy for her and how everything looks really amazing. And it's kind of like, I don't need your approval. Like, I do not need your approval, especially if you left me high and dry. I don't think so. But I'm glad that Heather felt like she could close that chapter in her life and just completely move on. All the ladies are trickling into the party. Mary shows up, and I was kind of like, girl, like, what are you wearing? Like, Mary, you are at Neiman's, Saks, Bloomingdale's, Nordstrom every damn day. You in Chanel, Louis, Gucci, Prada, Celine, Dolce & Gabbana, Versace. I can go on and on and on. Why do your outfits always look a hot, raggedy mess? Mary's outfits always look like a mishmash of stuff. Like she just threw something together and got dressed in the dark. It's crazy. Like, Mary should really be killing it, and she's not. It's like, girl, you have hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of clothes in your closets, and you still look a mess. So we see Whitney come on in, and then we see Meredith come in, and she comes in with a diamond mask. And everybody's kind of like, girl, what the hell is she wearing? Like, what? It looked so creepy to me. I hated it. I was like, Meredith, stop it. Meredith really missed the mark with whatever she was trying to give at this grand opening party. It was like, girl, don't ever wear that mask ever again. I don't care if it was made out of 24 karat gold. Don't wear it. Please. Even Mary was like, girl, don't wear that ever again. I said, when Mary's trying to get somebody together about their fashions, then you know it's a sad day. So Lisa gets there, and her and Meredith go off to the side, and they start chatting away about Vegas. Lisa's like, you know, how are you feeling about everything? And Meredith is like, girl, I'm pissed. Like, I'm pissed at Jen, period, point blank. She had no right to be flapping her gums about what's going on in my house with my man. She needs to worry about herself. So then Lisa goes on to tell Meredith about how she actually met up for drinks with Jen, and how she's trying to see Jen in a different light and have compassion towards her. So now Meredith is visibly pissed, and she's like, look, I'm never going to tell you who to be friends with, but it's kind of like, really? Like, you were just talking cash money, old girl, and how you never wanted to be friends with her again, but now you having drinks with her and trying to key with her and trying to see her side of things, and it's like, girl, where do you stand? Meredith is visibly annoyed. And Lisa's just double talking. You know how Lisa does. You know, calm down, Meredith. Calm down. I just had drinks with her. I'm just trying to see things from her side. I totally understand. And it's like, girl, shut the F up. You were talking all that rah-rah in Vegas, and now you done flip. I got my good eye on Lisa. I said, So we see Heather make her speech. She's thanking everybody for coming and she's excited for what's to come. After the speech is over, we see Meredith, and Meredith is talking to someone else. Jen comes up from behind. It's like, hey, Meredith, can we talk? Jen gives an apology and she says, Meredith, I love you so much. I would never hurt you. Meredith is like, girl, I've heard this all before. Like, thanks for the apology. I know you barely had that. And Meredith is like, girl, it's never going to be the same between us, but, thank you for your efforts. Jen has the nerve to be upset that Meredith isn't jumping for joy to be friends again or to accept her apology. And it's so funny to me because it's like Jen can dish it out, but she can't take it, because the same way that you did not accept Mary's apology, the same way you did not accept Whitney's apology, now you're upset because somebody else now doesn't want to hear the BS coming out of your mouth. Funny. Jen, the same way you do other people is being done back to you. You want to be a hard ass, not accepting people's apologies, not forgiving. Now you got to deal with it when it's thrown back your way. Period. Meredith has every right to not want to be friends with you again. She has every right to feel away. That's her prerogative. You were spreading around her business and you're getting what is coming to you. You got to pay the piper. It is what it is. Then we see Heather jump in and she lets Jen know, Jen, the only way for us to move forward is if you give me the apology that is owed to me. Jen is doing what she does best. She's deflecting and crying and saying, I just don't understand. I don't understand why I have to give you an apology. Why I have to give you an apology? What did I do? I'm not understanding. And it's like, that is peak delusion when you can't own up to stuff that you've done. I was just so proud of Heather for really having her foot on Jen's neck all the way. She was like, no, girl, we are not going to be friends again unless you give me my apology. And unless you own up to everything that you've said and done. And while Jen fought it tooth and nail, Jen knew better than to play with Heather, because Heather was really serious. Like, girl, I'm not playing with you. I will end this friendship today. And Jen finally eked out a very weak apology, but it was just kind of like, good for Heather for standing her ground. I'm really looking forward to the reunion. I really hope that Andy holds Jen's feet to the fire about her attitude this season, because her attitude was atrocious. But again, that was the finale. That was the recap. Thank you all for watching. And you already know what to do. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Bye.